sleeping, but it's like your body never actually rests. You cancel plans to stay in thinking maybe one more night of nothing will help. But the next day, you're still running on fumes. Your eyes are open, but your energy is gone and you're feeling completely depleted. Let's start here. This isn't laziness, this is emotional exhaustion. And it's one of the most overlooked forms of burnout we face, especially for high achievers, caregivers, and anyone carrying the invisible weight of keeping it all together. Here are the facts. Over 1 in 3 people report feeling emotionally exhausted on a daily basis. According to the American Psychological Association, women, caregivers, and service-based professionals are experiencing emotional fatigue at record levels. Burnout is no longer just about overworking, it's about overfeeling, overcaring, and under-receiving. Burnout doesn't always look like breaking down. Sometimes it's showing up, smiling, and silently spiraling behind the scenes. This episode is for the one who keeps pushing, the one that doesn't feel rested no how much sleep they're getting, and the one that is holding it together for everybody else. Y'all, welcome back to Mindset, Health, and Empowerment, the Unfiltered Trainer, with yours truly, Gina Marie Fit. Today, we're going to break down what's really behind this kind of fatigue and how to finally start healing from it, as I am currently going through this exact scenario. Things that I noticed was that there are signs that your body is in survival mode. One way to recognize the red flags is when you start to realize that your body, it's been whispering for quite a long time, but then eventually it starts to scream. And if you're always tired, you may be living in this silent survival mode that I've been living in too. Here's what that's been looking like. Chronic brain fatigue and fog. It feels like turning everyday decisions become mental marathons. Emotional numbness, where joy feels far away and irritability is so easy to tap into, it's so close. You'll feel tension in your body, your chest might be tight, your jaw might be clenched, your shoulders might be aching. It's like your body is always bracing for impact even when there's no danger. Decision fatigue. You can't even decide what to eat, let alone how to take care of yourself. And then one way I always notice that I'm burning out is compulsive cravings. Leaning towards sugar, caffeine, junk food. It's like we are desperately searching for any source of quick energy just to get us through that next hour. And these aren't necessarily the greatest habits to be developing, but it's because our nervous system is sending smoke signals that we are not okay. As a result of this, you experience what I call the invisible drain, which is when our hormones are out of whack. This is when your body lives in survival mode long enough that your hormones stop prioritizing healing and they start prioritizing survival. Because of that, behind the scenes, your cortisol, which is your stress hormone, becomes either chronically elevated, where you're always wired and edgy, or becomes depleted, where you feel flatlined and hopeless. You'll experience adrenal burnout. That's the glands that are supposed to actually help you power through. They start to crash. Your dopamine drops, which leaves you unmotivated, emotionally disconnected, and joyless. And lastly, your estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone, they are totally out of sync. And this is what leads to mood swings, disrupted sleep, low libido, and energy slumps. You're not failing. Your body is trying to compensate. You're not unmotivated. You truly are becoming chemically depleted. But if your body is waving that white flag and your hormones are screaming for help, how do you actually recharge in a way that works? Not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, on a soul deep level that actually becomes impactful. How to recharge. Mentally, not just physically, comes from a mental and emotional recharge. Rest isn't just the nap, it's the act of returning to yourself. So one way you can do this is creating white space in your day where nothing is expected of you, not even productivity. And this is something I struggle with because I feel like if I am awake, I have to be productive, I have to be accomplishing something. Another way you can do this is to unpack your emotional weight. Voice note your spiraling thoughts, scream in the car, cry, journal, go to therapy, get it out of your head and out of your body. I notice that I do this on my really long days when I've just absolutely had enough and everything's been piling for so long. I literally will freak out in the car, like pound the steering wheel, like usually end up in tears. And it's not because I'm sad. I'm just so sick and tired of being sick and tired of situations that aren't serving me that I literally cry out of frustration. And then you can do something that's called nervous system grounding. This is something I used to thought was a little bit too woo-woo for me, but every time I sit outside, I feel a different type of re-energizing that I don't get anywhere else. And so nervous system grounding is when you participate in breath work, somatic release, EFT tapping. They're tools that can whisper to your body that you are safe, and then your mind starts to forget the experiences it was having and it regenerates in a safe space. Because you hear it all the time. You can't pour peace into a mind that's cluttered with unspoken pain. And so we can't find balance, we can't find joy when there are things that are plaguing our body, mind, and soul that we keep trying to push down because we just are too fearful of dealing with the decisions that need to be made, or we know in our current circumstances and situations we might not be able to make that leap that's necessary for our sanity. To get true physical restoration, you have to realize that your body doesn't need another coffee or, Gina, another Alani. It needs permission to slow the hell down. Prioritizing deep sleep, not just long sleep. And so when I started doing a lot of research, when I got my TBI, I learned that there are definitely different types of sleep and phases of sleep. And so if you want to prioritize deep sleep, this means screen-free wind down time, blackout curtains, and participating in those deep, consistent sleep rhythms. Replacing high intensity everything with low impact nourishment is really beneficial. So you can do walks in nature, stretching, yoga, or just laying still and breathing. I've been doing this as I take breaks throughout my workday. When I'm able to be home, I am curating the most perfect safe space. I've never used the balcony of my apartment. I've lived here for 3 freaking years, and I bought a chair. And then I bought a table. I am trying to find the perfect footstool, but I've been adding little things like pillows. I just got these really cool, citrine, however you say those, citronella candles. If you are somebody that follows me, I linked everything in my Amazon storefront that's from Amazon. And these citronella candles, they are from a company that's a camping company called Coleman, and they freaking light different colors. They're LED. I don't even understand how they're real, but there's something when you're sitting there in the dark with your thoughts, journaling, or just kind of trying to breathe like I've been doing, and you have this little light illuminating you, and it's created the most insane sense of peace in my soul. And so creating just a safe space in your environment can be extremely helpful. And for me, it's away from my desk. It's away from my microphone. It's away from all of my computers. It is a calm space, not meant for productivity. Also, something that I struggle with is balancing my blood sugar because I tend to gravitate towards a lot of caffeine. So utilizing nutrient-dense foods, hydrating with solely water, and making sure you're getting in all of your essential vitamins and minerals can really help you. One way you can do this is supplementing with magnesium B vitamins, and electrolytes. Electrolytes is my hard one for me. I've been trying a lot of electrolyte drinks, and I think they are all absolutely disgusting. So if you have an electrolyte drink that you love, shout your girl out, let me know, because once you address the stress, then you have to address everything that's out of balance. And a lot of people negate because they're so focused on their main macros, getting their protein in, that you're not really addressing all of the other things that keep your system functioning. When we recognize that there is a true difference between passing out and recharging, I know I often collapse at the end of my 16-hour work days, and then I notice a huge difference on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday because I usually only work one of my jobs on a normal basis where I get to choose the rest. I choose when I lay down. It is a completely different feeling of healing when you're resting at the intended time you want to rest versus just collapsing at the time you finally get to fall asleep. But here's the truth. Recharging is only going to work if we stop repeating the same patterns that are depleting us. And that means understanding how stress actually works inside our bodies and learning how to finally break these cycles. Stress cycles, nervous system recovery, and boundaries. It's a necessary, y'all. Like, this is a necessity, game changer for you. Stress is a cycle. It is not just a feeling. It isn't just a state of mind. It is a literal biological loop. And if you don't complete it, it's going to complete you. The body doesn't understand your email inbox versus a life-threatening event. It only understands increased intensity. So if that loop doesn't close, crying, moving, exhaling, shaking it out, it stays stuck as chronic tension, fatigue, anxiety, and eventually manifests into illness. So let the energy move. Whether you have to scream into a pillow, shake your arms, cry it out, or sprint for 30 seconds, you can't think your way out of stress. You have to move your way through it. One thing that is essential in this entire process is nervous system recovery. You can't access peace in a body that thinks it's under attack. Your nervous system rituals enable to downshift, which means things like long exhales, vagus nerve stimulation, humming, cold therapy. When you identify your triggers and your window of tolerance, you can know your edge. Start to think about your day. Start to notice, am I operating from anxiety or am I operating from alignment? Your nervous system is either in survival or it's in trust, and you get to choose where you live. Boundaries, as we've spoken about many times on this podcast, are an energy strategy. If you keep saying yes out of guilt, which is the story of my life right now, don't be surprised when your body says no in the form of burnout. Learn to say no before you hit your edge. Protect your calendar like it's sacred, because it is. Build exit strategies from draining people, conversations, or spaces. One way I have done this, full disclosure, is I'm just not reaching out to people. We talked about it a couple episodes ago about how exhausting it is when you're always thinking of other people and you're always the person that's reaching out to others, but then no one includes you in things. And instead of like plaguing yourself with questions about why you're not enough, you could just realize that the friends that don't reciprocate your energy and don't include you aren't actually your friends. And so recently, I've really just been limiting who I spend my time with, where I spend my time, and it really has been a game changer, because I've learned if it costs me my peace, then it's too expensive. And as a result of that, you will learn that boundaries aren't about keeping people out. They're about actually keeping your energy in and protected. But what if your stressors aren't optional? Now, I know a lot of this sounds great, but you're probably like me and you're like, what if your life right now is chaotic and you don't have the luxury of checking out? Like, you can't leave work, you can't quit your job for so many reasons. So let's talk about how to survive this storm without losing yourself inside of it. There is a way to make a shift in real time when you can't escape, and I've been embracing this for the last couple months. When you can't change your environment, you anchor yourself inside of it. There's a way to do what I call a micro reset, and it's something that I've been doing when I get really frustrated in situations, where I will take 3 slow, deep breaths, and you can do this between your meetings, between conversations with coworkers, for me, between classes or between patients, and go outside. Step into the sunlight. Close your eyes for 60 seconds and reconnect with your body. One way that is like a very simple shift that is really inexpensive is to do an environmental tweak. So open a window, light a candle, put on calming music. I personally have been like, when I get home from work, opening all of my windows, like all of my blinds. There's so much incredible light in my apartment. I don't even need to turn my lights on, but it shifts your senses to shift the state of mind you're in. If you are a little woo-woo like me, you can develop a mental mantra. You can tell if you've been new to the podcast, I have an Invisalign and it makes me stutter, and I literally am about to get my retainers this week, and I cannot wait to get my speech back and stop sounding so broken. But mental mantras. This is something you could say as simple as, this is hard, but it's not permanent. You can say something like, I can feel this without becoming it. And something that I really struggle with is that because you're experiencing it, it doesn't have to become your entire existence. Like, you can wipe your hands of a situation and keep moving and keep doing your job. And one way to do that is energetic detachment. So when you can't physically leave your environment, you can emotionally let it go. That weight you're carrying, it's not yours alone, and it's not your full responsibility. And so it's kind of like Mel Robbins' let them theory. I came up with the F it theory, and I'm learning that I have to stop overachieving in every single area of my life. Even though that's who I am, even though I've been like this my whole life, I've got to stop because I can't keep doing more in every area of my life and then expecting other people to rise. I just have to do what's expected of me, do it well, and keep moving, because trying to do for everyone and everything is literally depleting my soul. And so I have learned, even if you can't change the chaos around you, you can change how much of it gets inside of you. And that leads to the most important part of today's episode and what started this conversation. And it's what we've been chasing all along: rest. But not the kind the world talks about, not collapse, not zoning out, not escapism, but true rest, the kind that resonates with you on a soul deep level. So what does real rest actually look like? It isn't just something you do when you're exhausted. It's something that you practice so you don't get there. Real rest is saying no without explanation, doing things that bring you back to yourself, reading, creating, laughing. For me, this is going to the beach, sitting in my chair on my balcony, or literally just binge watching one of my favorite episodes with my favorite snacks, with my phone flipped over, not feeling compelled to stay connected. And also, one of the most beneficial things you can do is connect with people who charge you, not drain you. So last week, I had a very particularly stressful week, and I just feel like with everything going on with my health and all these appointments, I haven't had a moment to breathe. And by the end of the week, I got really unexpected news and I just broke. And I happened to be going to lunch with a friend, and we ran into another friend, and it all had happened right as I was arriving to this lunch, and I lost it. Like, crying in public, like literally felt so embarrassed to like be crying in public, but I realized that I just couldn't do it anymore. Like, everything just felt so heavy, and I'm so grateful I had friends that like literally provided a space for me to feel safe, and they took what I was going through and held space for it. And people like that, like, hold on to them tight, because far often than not, and it might just be because of where I live, it's hard to have good quality friends that are there for the highs as much as they are for the lows. And it's really hard to find people when you are in those lows who aren't judging you. And something that's really beneficial that I'm learning is that it's okay when you're going through things to have moments of stillness, and you don't have to feel like you owe anyone anything. You don't even feel like you have to owe people a response, because I feel far often than not, my problem is that I do feel like I owe everyone everything. And I feel like if I don't go a mile a minute and do all of the things, that everything's going to collapse and it's all going to be for nothing. And I feel like the most important thing we all can learn together is that rest is radical. Rest is rebellion, and rest is recovery in this day and age, because this isn't about stopping everything as much as I would love to run away sometimes. Like, that's just my MO. It's really about starting over, but starting over from a place of peace. And so if you're always tired, realize that it's not because you're not trying hard enough. I feel like we are all, those of us experiencing this extreme exhaustion, are trying too hard. We're doing too much. We're compensating for other people around us because we don't want things to fall through the cracks or experience failure. But I feel like a lot of us feel this way because we've been carrying too much for too long, and we haven't had enough space to breathe or feel or just be a human being, honestly. And because burnout is treated as a badge of honor, it actually should be our biggest warning sign, because healing isn't found when we push through. It's actually found in pausing with intention, which actually, if you're on Instagram, I literally just made a reel about this, about how I found true healing in the pause. So take a second, go read that caption on that reel, because if no one's told you lately, you don't have to keep living like this. You actually can rest, you can recover, you can rise again, but this time you don't have to abandon yourself and your own needs to make it possible. If this episode hit home for you, if it felt like I was speaking directly to your tired soul, then I want to make sure that you subscribe to Mindset, Health, and Empowerment, the Unfiltered Trainer podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts, whether that's on Apple, Spotify, or YouTube. I drop episodes every Tuesday, and I'm really trying to focus on impactful conversations that make a difference, mind, body, and soul, because I, in the last couple months, did not take my podcast seriously. Like, this was always a hobby until like 8 weeks ago, maybe 10 weeks ago now. And I've been actually looking at my podcast stats, like, so embarrassing. I never did this before. And my mental health mindset, like, personal episodes are listened 4 to 5 times more than my fitness episodes. And so clearly there's a lot of people out there that are struggling, that need to feel seen and heard. And so if you haven't yet, make sure you also follow my personal Instagram, Gina Marie Fit, and the Unfiltered Trainer, because we're really focusing on mindset shifts, mental health truth bombs, and unfiltered conversations that are going well beyond six packs and getting your abs, getting your glutes. We're gonna really break down what's more beneficial and include fitness as a resource, not the be all end all. And so also, I never ask for this, and I need to get better at this because this is real and there's so much effort that goes into this podcast. But if you found value in today's episode, the best way you can support a podcaster is leaving a 5-star review. On Spotify, it'll just let you rate the show. But if you listen on Apple, which is like 87% of my listeners, please leave an actual review, like a Google review, like write a little note for me, because your words help this mission reach more people who are silently struggling, and clearly people are ready to feel seen. So take a second, leave your girl a 5-star review, hype me up, because that will help my show so much. And I want to leave you with one thing. Until the next episode, I want you to intentionally protect your peace, guard your energy, and please don't forget that you are not lazy, broken, or weak. You are healing. And that, my friends, takes strength that most people will never understand. All right, y'all, I'll see you in the next episode.